look at it. It's
Sue, I see
absolutely
bobbling
wild.
on a jumper. I see wayward hair.
Oh, I mean, come on, I've got a 5-week-old baby.
Oh, here we go. Right.
Oh, right, sorry. Oh, right, sorry, okay. Are you recording yet?
We are now.
Oh, right, okay. Well, that was what I wanted to know because... Yes. Oh, introduce. Is that what you want me to do? Hello. Well, I'm not doing the welcome, to be honest, with Jojo and Bruce, because if they're listening, like I said before, then they know they're here. Isn't it pointless? It's pointless exercise. So all I'm going to say is, hi, Michelle McManus. Hello, how are you? Lovely to see you.
Hello, my love. How are you? It's lovely to see you both in chat.
I know. We were having a little chat off screen about Harry putting things into Jack's, and that'll make no sense at all, will it?
Can we just bring everyone up to speed? Sue, you're a mother. Is that correct?
I am a mother, Sue. We should probably say why we call each other Sue.
I'm 100%. We've confused everyone.
Before we cover the topic of my 2-year-old son, just lodging things on your phones and stuff like that, maybe we should cover why we call each other Sue. Do you know why we call each other Sue?
I genuinely have no idea, but I do realise that it's very confusing that you call each other Sue. How does that? Why?
So we, years and years ago, when Bruce and I both worked on The Hour on STV, Sue Lawrence was our chef on the show, and we just both fell madly in love with her because she was incredible, and she was just, it wasn't just what she baked, and she was incredible at baking, and that really appealed to Bruce and I. I mean, you can decide why that was, but it really appealed to Bruce and I, especially more me. But she was amazing on the show, and we kind of became obsessed with her. And we loved her. So out of nothing but adoration, we just complete affection, we then began to refer to ourselves as Sue, and that was it. So I'm Sue and he's Sue, and it kind of works, I promise it does.
Well, I've heard you in conversation before, and bizarrely it does work, and I know which Sue is talking to which Sue at any given time of Sue
we're
time.
both alphas. We're both alpha Sues.
Bruce gives everyone nicknames, Jojo. So, for example, my husband Jeff was Kate Middleton because he just basically was useless. He said at the side, silent, pointless.
Well, no, it was the fact that he'd signed his life away because...
Oh, well, he'd signed his life away.
Kate has no access to her family. She's locked in the Baillieston compound for Christmas, whereas if she was the real Kate, would be Sandringham. But Kate then went on a health kick, and now I call him Vera Veggie.
Oh, wow.
Because he's a vegetarian, so yeah, he's Vera Veggie. But he's got nicknames for all my mates, for everyone. And only when he calls me Michelle, I know he's being really serious. And he'll say to me, look, this is a Michelle moment, not a Sue. And I'm like, all right, okay, let me sit up and take notice of what's been said.
It's not really about fishing my career out the pan. But hey, who hasn't been there over the past
we've got
years?
a new name for you. We've nicknamed you Bop, which is short for box office poison, haven't we?
Well, absolutely. I know. Well, I know
Bop,
you were.
Bop sounds lovely.
I know
box office poison, not so much.
Well, Sue was recently in a book. And I was recently in a documentary, but fell on the cutting room floor. Not naming names, Camden Bar, cancel culture.
And he is not letting it go, Michelle.
I've
He is
still
not.
got the money.
Yeah,
I know.
as long as you've got the money. We want to find out how you are. I know because I haven't spoken to you for ages. I think the last time we were in a pub in Rose Street. Do you remember that?
I mean, I loved meeting you in a pub, Jojo. It was always going to be a good night if I met you in a pub, you met me. It was one of those things. Usually during the Edinburgh Festival. Can you believe 2.5 years after it?
I know. That's crazy.
Not touched it. I never thought I would ever. I mean, I love alcohol. I still love alcohol. It was such a huge part of my life.
Oh, sorry, hang on a minute.
No, she wasn't getting that at all. Sorry.
Oh, no,
I thought you meant the Fringe.
I thought 2.5 years off the Fringe.
What do you mean?
Predictable.
Stop your actual self. What do you mean you've stopped drinking? You've been pregnant, so that might be part of it. But
deliberately, she doesn't like to talk about it.
Pregnant a lot of that time, but I just felt, Jojo, I just got to a point where I loved booze, and booze just didn't love me, and really? I just felt that it was just becoming more and more frequent when I was waking up in the morning and going, I don't remember what I said, I don't remember where I've been, I don't remember what I'd done, and the kind of fun went out of it a wee bit. I mean, I never really did anything horrendously bad. It was just how it was making me feel, and I was actually quite scared to give up because it was such a huge part of my identity of going out, and I didn't really know how to socialise without it. I didn't actually really know if I wanted to be a person without it, because I loved that feeling of cracking open a bottle and going for a drink and all that kind of stuff. And then the kind of decision was taken out of my hands, because when I fell pregnant with Harry, of course, you quit drinking.
Well,
and
some of us do.
Yeah.
No, I think I did stop drinking.
Inverted commas, we quit drinking. But it just that kind of took care of itself. And I think when I came off the booze and I realised, how nice Saturday mornings were without without being hungover and stuff like that. And I never went back on it, and I haven't went back on it, and I don't really know if I ever will, kind of thing. I mean, never say never. It wasn't that I had. It's not again that I didn't really enjoy it, but I really loved my life off it, and it's actually changed my life a wee bit coming off it.
That's really interesting.
But it is interesting in Scotland particularly. I think the UK as a whole, but in Scotland, people are like, well, you're not drinking, you brought the car. Why have you done that? Well, you can just have no, come on now.
But can I tell you, Bruce, there's something changing, because see, you're so dead right. I have to say, like Jeff said to me, I think Jeff and I have been together 7 years, so I think we were only together like 2 years. And Jeff was never one for, he was all or nothing, like when he was drinking, because he's off it as well. He's quit. We've both quit. We quit at different times. Like he quit after me.
It's not that Sue's controlling. This was Vera's choice.
Jeff has decided by the power of Michelle not to drink anymore.
Poor Vera, she can't have a steak. She can't have a Beaujolais.
Poor Jeff, that is not at all the case. But I remember he said to me, like, we were only 2 years into a relationship, he's like, I think I'm going to quit. I can't be bothered drinking. And for me, instantly, I was like, who am I going to drink with? I don't want you to quit. I want you to stay on it. And when I first quit drinking, and I didn't, everyone expected me to go back on it after I'd had Harry. Bruce is so right. It was so difficult, because they were like, why are you not drinking? Because it was such a big part of my identity. I'm telling you, I don't know whether it's been the pandemic or whatnot, but something has changed. More and more people, I think, are either A, accepting it, or B, not drinking themselves because they've maybe drank so much through the pandemic, whatever the reasons are. And the non-alcoholic market has moved on so much. Like, honestly, see this kind of journey that we went on discovering non-alcoholic beverages. I mean, some of it tastes like, I don't know, can I swear on this podcast? I don't know if I can. Some of it tastes like absolute piss water. It's terrible.
That's dreadful swearing. You should be ashamed of yourself.
I know. Sorry,
is that holy piss water?
There's holy piss water, or from the fires of hell. I don't know, but we
thrush in a can.
But we've discovered so many amazing non-alcoholic options that it's almost kind of been really easy. So we still drink, we just don't drink alcohol. So that makes sense. I still pour myself a glass of wine. I'll still have a beer.
But it's all non-alcoholic.
But again, it's not for everyone. Like, I loved drinking, and I love still socialising with my pals that drink. I love going to, like, if I go to a pub or an event or whatever. It's just where I am in my life. That's all.
So that doesn't bother you then if people are getting pissed around you and you're still sober? Because that's the thing that annoys me. I wouldn't mind being sober, but I can't bear being with people when they're pissed if I'm not pissed with them.
Weirdly, people are never as drunk as you think they are. So when you're drunk, you always think everyone's absolutely stupid, but actually when you're sober, people are never as drunk as they think they are. And also you get this kind of placebo effect, because if I'm standing with a glass of wine or a beer or something, I kind of feel like at the end of the night, I'm like,
giddy.
Oh my God, should I get in the car? Have I been drinking? Because I feel like I've been wrapped up and involved in the whole process, and like, even if Jeff and I, like, we still do a Friday night, when the kids are in bed, like, I'll still get my wee, like, non-alcoholic drink out and pour it in the same glass I would have taken a drink in, and he'll crack open a beer, and we still feel like this is adult time. We're sitting down, we're having a drink. And again, it's just, and also the flip side is we've got 2 babies under 2, right? So you trying to get up and function the next day when you're hungover. So it's easier now not to drink. I'm not saying I'll never go back to it. I don't know if I'll ever go back to it. I can't see myself going back to it now, put it that way.
I have to say that is, as a parent, that is the one thing being hungover and trying to, especially to look after children that are still...
It's difficult.
It's horrendous. It's absolutely horrendous. I'm surprised sometimes that my children are still alive. Some of the sofas I had to just lie on and just let them, put Sudocrem on the cat and pizza in the video recorder. Do you know what I mean? So I think that happened whilst I was watching them. But also, I think as well, the other thing is when you wake up in the morning with your memory, when you're so drunk and you don't remember what you said, but it gets drip-fed back to you throughout the course of the day.
It's the worst. It's
and
torture.
It is horrible. And sort of 6 o'clock at night, you go, oh my God.
But you know what I think's worse? I think what's worse, just when you're really good pals, go, honestly, you weren't that bad, and you just know that you were even worse than what you had imagined. But they just don't want to be cruel and tell you. But again, this is not for everyone. I would never force, just because I don't drink. I'm not one for saying to folk, you should quit. Absolutely not. I mean, if you enjoy alcohol and you've got a good relationship with alcohol, you should absolutely, and everyone's got their own choices. It's just for me personally and where I am in my life, it really works.
Good. And as long as you haven't become pious with it, do you know these people?
No, never,
right.
never, never,
Otherwise
never.
We couldn't be
never
friends.
would want to do that. Oh no, I would never wear that either.
So, putting your past as a pox-ridden harlot party girl to one side, you're now a parent. Now, I know you don't like talking about it because you rarely mention it, and it's always fun to say, "Oh, hi, I've had 2 children." Yep, and it was your choice. Do one. Where do you see the next incarnation of yourself and your career going? If you see what I mean.
So actually, that's something I've been thinking about quite a lot, because the way that my career goes just now is that I'm really lucky that I work for BBC, doing Our Lives, and we've got a new show, Essentially Scotland's People. And then the weekends are really big for me because that's where I do all my kind of live events. So all my kind of big corporate events, they're my real big money earners at the weekend. So I can be out on a Friday night, a Saturday ladies lunch Saturday night, and then a Sunday ladies lunch, and a real bumper weekend. And that for me now, I'm looking at that kind of prospect and thinking to myself, right, I've got 2 babies. A, I probably really need to do that because I want to provide and I want to have a lovely life. But B, also then, so the other side of that is I want to be away with the kids because Jeff's working Monday to Friday and then I'm away all weekend.
What does Jeff do?
Jeff's a mechanical engineer, so
okay.
This is like Chandler Bing here, Jojo. It's taken me 7 years to learn just a couple of lines of what he does. It's something to do with ventilation, which he gets very excited about, and radiators. Radiators really excite my husband. I can't tell you why.
See, it's funny. I always thought he was involved in kitchens because my extended family would go, what is Vera? What does Kate do? And I'm like, I want to say kitchen fitter, designer. Because I remember the first time I met Vera was on the south side. We were going to the Glad Cafe.
You were hosting, yeah?
Road, I was hosting. It was a dreadful show, not because I was on. Names after this. And that was the first night that I met Kate, Vera, whatever you want to call him. And I thought he did quite well. Because do you know what Sue said to me? She went, "So this is Jeff." And I went, "Oh, hello, Jeff." I went, "I have a newfound sympathy for you." And she went like that. "Do you know what Jeff says about me?" And I'm like, "I can only imagine." She went, "Jeff thinks I'd make a really good boss." And I went, "You realise that's not a compliment. That shows you're slightly domineering, my dear." But the thing is, he wasn't fritzled into this. This is choice of his own volition.
Absolutely.
He's not kept in the Santa flow under the stairs.
No, yet.
I remember my husband, well, ex-husband now, I've split up with Monk. So anyway, long story. He'd said something about being on some conference call to America, and my friend said to me, what does Monk do? I've been with him 7 years. And I was like, actually, I've no idea. I knew he went to an office, and that's all I knew. I still don't know what he did.
He just a senior engineer, so he's off tools, I know that much, and he'll design things and go on site and work for clients and stuff like that. And again, it's all about ventilation. Like, he gets really excited when he walks into a building and he's like, "Did you see those radiators? Can I tell you how?" And I'm like, "No, don't bother, just you keep that to yourself, that's fine."
It's amazing what floats other people's boats, isn't it?
Yeah, he's all about the ventilation and heating, and he's actually talking to us actually about how we can be greener, getting these like kind of air heating pumps or something installed, and instead of I don't know, renewable energy, all this kind of stuff. It's really exciting in this house, Jojo. We don't drink, we barely eat meat, and we talk about ventilation. But I love every minute of it, I'm telling you.
That sounds great. What I'm interested as well, you're saying about performing and having those bumper weekends, the bread and butter of the business. Yeah. Then how did the restrictions and things impact you? Were you able to perform over Zoom or? COVID creeps me out whenever I mention anything about COVID because I'm obsessed.
No, I'm in a cupboard. I've no interest.
The pandemic massively affected us. Hugely affected us. We were really lucky in the sense that we had saved really hard, because I think Harry was like 6 weeks when we went into lockdown. So I knew I wanted to take like a year off and be that whole kind of earth mother and, take some time off. And I'd worked really hard kind of leading up to do that. So we had saved and made sure that we could afford for me to take a year off my work. So we had that kind of cushion of those savings. But as the pandemic went on and on and on and on, and the savings kind of dwindled, and, we were living, Jeff's wage was amazing. But I started to really panic like everyone did. And, Bruce and I spoke about this kind of extensively, and it was just,
see, Bruce, not Sue, because
it's a serious
thing.
Because
it's a serious thing. I don't even think when I do it. I just do it automatically. But like everyone, at some point, if you're not working for long periods of time, and also, let's be honest, Jojo, before I had fell pregnant with Harry, me and Jeff were out all the time. Any money we earned, and we were really lucky, we both got amazing jobs, we blew it. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? We had a 3-day bender up in Malik getting wedded, up in Malik having our wedding. It was free bar the whole weekend. You know, we took everyone up there. We then had a Glasgow wedding at 400 odd people at it. We bought a house. We did all this kind of stuff. So as much as we had savings, we don't keep our money. We spend our money. So kind of towards the end, I'm saying towards. I'm hoping we're actually at the end of the pandemic. It started to get to the point where I'm like, I need to get back to work now. Like everyone, I need to get back. I need to start earning again. I want to get those savings back up. I don't want to be in this position where I'm really panicking about where am I going to go back to work again.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was really fortunate to work throughout and record from home for doing my shows for the BBC. But again, to go back to those big kind of money earners, those big kind of live events in front of an audience, and also you forget your stagecraft a wee bit if you're not out doing it every week. You guys know better than anyone, right? Sometimes you'll go out there and do this amazing show and you probably think, I don't really remember much of what I said and did, because it's actually just muscle memory and it's stagecraft and you have that. But if you're not doing it week in and week out, you will lose it.
Yeah.
Like I've got a couple of events I'm working in the next couple of weeks, and I'm actually quite nervous about going back out again, because I'm like, God, I haven't done this for so long. I forget what I'm supposed to do and what I'm supposed to say.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm extremely grateful that they are coming back, but very nervous about the fact that am I going to remember how to do it, because it's been 2 years since I've done anything like that. So yeah, the pandemic hit us like everyone, for sure. I mean, we were not sitting here, you know, singing Imagine All the People, like all those A-list celebrities in our big massive houses. Like we were with everyone else, like kind of panicking, thinking,
crying into your super noodles.
and your super noodles, Sue.
I was when first going back sort of to live events, not so much at home doing Zoom gigs and stuff, but definitely starting a joke and then going, oh, how does this end? And forgetting how, you know, going, just the wording of it. Do you ever forget the words to your songs?
The older I get, it starts to happen, which is probably not a good sign. But I think it's because I just get so complacent. I don't think it's because I forgot them. I think it's because my mind wanders too easily now, and I think that always tends to happen. See, when I've done loads of kind of, because the thing is, when I'm doing live events, it's, you know, it can be anything from ladies' lunches to award ceremonies, but they always want me to sing at the end, which is lovely, and I'll do the singing. And I think sometimes if I know especially if I've got a ladies' lunch during the day and I've got maybe another gig on at night, my mind starts to wonder about, did I pack my magic pants in that bag for this dress that I'm wearing tonight? And have I got a clean pair of tights? I've put a big rip up the back of these ones and all that. And you're in the middle of singing a song and you forget, which is terrible. That shows how unprofessional I am, that I'm not actually focusing on what I'm doing. Yeah, sometimes you get a mind blank because you learn so many songs and you learn so many routines and jokes, and a lot of yours will be off the cuff as well, but you sometimes forget, like, how can I not know this? I've sang it a million times. Thankfully it doesn't happen too often, but it has happened on the odd occasion.
Do you think as a mother you will ever go back and do a run at the Fringe?
I don't know, and that really upsets me actually, because the Fringe, I think I can't, there's probably about 2 or 3 moments in my life that have been life-changing, like hugely life-changing. Pop Idol, which you know I don't like to talk about, so Pop Idol being one of them.
Well, actually, no, I do want to ask a question about Pop Idol, because obviously we've known each other for a long time, and I knew you when you won Pop Idol, but I don't know how did that even come about? Why did you enter? What happened?
Well, it was a long time ago when she won.
Okay, I'm interested as to why she did it though. Did somebody suggest
I did it
because
because I don't think I had a clue it would ever work out. Yeah, so the thing with Pop Idol is that I had never seen anything like it before. It was 2001 or 2002 when Will and Gareth were on the show. I was working in a pub on a Saturday night, so I'd missed all this kind of Pop Idol build-up. And that's the thing about Pop Idol, it was social media, years before that. And if you didn't catch it on a Saturday night, you didn't see it. There was no catch-up or anything. And I happened to be off one Saturday towards the end. I think it was round about the final. And saw Will and Gareth, and I thought, oh my God, how have I not seen this talent show that you can just go on and sing and you might get a record deal? Because I always sang in pubs and workingmen's clubs and all that kind of stuff. And I was really drunk one night, as in all the major decisions in my life I had been at that point. I was blitzed, and the number came up the bottom of the screen saying, look, if you want to be on this show, give it a call. Gave it a call, got accepted to go along for an audition. I never thought in my wildest dreams, Jojo, that I would ever win it, never mind even get past the judges. But Pop Idol was a start for me. It was so instrumental. It was something I'm so proud of. Like, I never look back at that experience and go, that was a nightmare. Look what happened to me. I never got the big record deal. I never got the success that all these other artists had. Pop Idol was incredible for me. It completely changed my life. It allowed me, I mean, it's nearly 19 years ago, and I'm sitting talking to you and Bruce about all the things that I've done over 90 years and all the things that have still yet to come. None, zero would have been possible for reasons, you know, I can go on and chat about later on. But that was something that happened to me in 2003. And then I met Bruce in kind of 2007, 2008, fell in love with him instantly because he was just that kind of person. You know, sometimes when you meet people in life, it's like that book, The 5 People You Meet in Heaven, or whatever it's called. I mean, not that I think Bruce is ever going to heaven, never in a million years.
God,
right? And
no.
I can say that.
No.
I can say that as a Catholic, right? Bruce,
He's driving us all to hell.
Yeah,
Yeah, you'll all be there.
You're
disingenuous.
But what had happened was I lost when we found out SCV. So then I got the job at the Hour. The Hour was great because between kind of 2003 and 2009, when I got the job on the Hour, I was just kind of, you know, living in London, living off all this money that I'd won from Pop Idol, but not really doing very much because I was kind of seen as a kind of flop idol. I hadn't made it. I was doing things like Eurovision and stuff like that. Got the job on the Hour. The Hour changed everything. That was like huge for me. Myself and Stephen Jardine. It started off, you know, with so many. I mean, we ended up getting like 250,000 viewers a day. It was huge. Bruce was on the Hour, and then it all ended again. Like everything in life, these things last a couple of years. So therefore, I kind of found myself kind of 2011, 2012, doing Panto at the Pavilion, which I loved, by the way, absolutely loved, but not having any real sense of what do I do next. I'm a singer, but I'm not a singer because I don't have a record deal. I was a TV presenter, but I'm not a TV presenter because I don't have a TV show. Nobody's shouting on my door. Nobody's offering me work. It just wasn't happening. It's despite when I was out about going, yeah, I've got loads of opportunities coming up. I didn't. And I was sitting in Bruce's flat one night, and he had kind of said to me, you should make your own work. And then I was like, I don't really know how to do that. And he said, well, you do. And then a couple of weeks later, Bruce and I were in a wee pub called the Newtown Bar on Dublin Street in Edinburgh, which is sadly no longer there. And it was an amazing bar. And we had been doing Waverley Care kind of fundraiser. I'm sure Nancy was on stage with us as well. And we were doing this Waverley Care fundraiser with lovely Jimmy Quinn, who was such a generous guy and you know, always kind of facilitated these kind of charity events to happen. And at that point, Jimmy had got a phone call and said, oh, we've been accepted as a venue for the Fringe. They were like venue 921 or something. And it was Stephen Martin at the time that was there. And he said, look, you should put on a one-woman show. And Bruce and I kind of looked at each other and just like, well, why don't you? I'll write it. And we'll just, you know, we'll do something. And because of that one tiny moment, I then had the next 7 years of my life doing this show at the Edinburgh Festival. And it just got bigger and bigger and bigger. And it was for a very specific audience. Do you know what I mean? It was storytelling. It wasn't stand-up comedy. It was absolutely taking the piss out of myself. It was, you know, this woman who had her 15 minutes of fame and she didn't know they were up, basically.
But
you know,
I've seen your shows and I absolutely love them because of that. It's self-deprecating, and I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what I was expecting when I saw the show.
Would you like to know what my writer's fee for the first one was?
I'd
a
love to
litre
know.
of Hendrick's gin.
Was
It was.
There was no money in the pot.
Because there was no money. I didn't have any money. We hadn't sold a ticket yet. And I said, Bruce, are we going to do this? And I think it worked so well because Bruce knew me inside out by that point. So we had kind of clicked in 2007, and by 2012, 2013, Bruce and I were just in sync. We spoke every day on the phone, as we still do. He was just like, you know, my brother. Like, he was just like someone I could confide in and be really raw and honest with. He got me, I got him, and when he was writing for me, he was really writing for me. Yeah. He wasn't writing for himself, even though some of the mannerisms and stuff that I've adopted on stage are Bruce now, you know, and just the way he says things. But it just, sometimes in life, when you meet someone and it just worked, we got each other and the writing worked, and it worked for our audience. I mean, there's lots of people that have came to see my show, because, you know, it's like the Fringe is an amazing place, but it can be really bitchy as well. And I've had comedians standing in a dressing room with me going, you know, basically just slagging the show, just not, you know, basically saying, it's not my kind of thing, or, you know, it's really kind of, it's something you would see an Elaine C. Smith punter coming to see, which I think, you know, Elaine C. Smith's amazing. She's an incredible career. A Dorothy Paul-esque, all that kind of stuff. It wasn't for them, but for our audience and for the people that we were targeting, it was absolutely for them. And then we had went from the Newtown Bar to the Stand, the yurts, yes,
the stand three.
Tragic gazebo in the back garden of Harvey Nichols.
Gazebo, that was it. And we went, and the stand picked us up, and then we went on from there. And again, that's the kind of, if it hadn't been for the Edinburgh Festival, if it hadn't been for the Edinburgh Festival, I don't think I would have got the jobs then. Because someone from the BBC came to see it, and that's how I got on BBC and all this kind of stuff. So the chain reaction was, because Bruce gave me this advice to say, basically just do it for yourself, along with the fact that the Newtown Bar were saying, like, we've got a venue, you can do it here.
Well, just to cut in, I think it's important that people realise where we started, because it was in a basement.
Oh, no, yeah, we need to say, I can't believe I've skimmed by that whole
for bummers.
The basement that Jimmy Quinn showed me the dark room, and I saw that. I swear to God, he showed me when it had been refurbed, and there was what looked like, I thought was a pole to hang your coats on, and I said, "Oh, is that like the cloakroom?" And he said, "No, that's where men stand and get sucked off." I was like,
oh my God, Jojo, it was even worse than that. My mum was down there, and I was showing her around. She stuck her finger through a hole. She's like, what's that for? I was like, get out there.
It's for scented candles, Helen. It's for scented candles.
I mean, to be fair on Jimmy, there was guys that came in full boiler suits and industrially cleaned that place before we went down, because he had to. And actually, do you not remember, Bruce, like we only ran from the Monday to the Saturday, and on the Friday night when the show finished, all these dark curtains started to go up, and I was like, oh no, Jimmy, what are you doing? He said, well, I've got to have the dark room on tonight. It's a Friday. I mean, but we've got 2 shows in here tomorrow. We'll give it a wee quick spray round. It'll be fine. I was terrified getting in there at the start of the day.
Bit of French polishing. Very briefly,
singing and spunk.
Very briefly. Well, I'm trying to keep this highbrow.
Sorry.
What I was going to say to you was, you mentioned earlier that Pop Idol was before social media. Knowing what you know about social media and some of the good and the bad experiences that we both had on social media, do you think you would enter into a show like that?
No, not now. I definitely wouldn't. And it's not because I didn't have the most incredible experience. I am so pro that part of my life. Like it completely enhanced my life. It changed my life. I loved the show, but it was also so beautifully innocent as well. You know, as much as there was a lot made about being the papers at the time, and you know, they were even talking about it in Parliament about the fact, the way that, because you know, you couldn't really speak about a woman or anyone now actually about the way that I was spoken about back then, because you know, you had DJs saying, can't let that fat bastard get to number 1 again and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, and there was people that I just got hounded in the press for my weight. But again, it's really bizarre because it never really affected me, because again, it was just such a tiny part of it, because the good always outweighed the bad. And it was, I've never got that stuff in real life, ever.
I was just going to ask, has anybody ever said to you, come up to you and said, you know, anything regarding your weight?
Never, ever, never.
So it was always in newspapers or kind of...
It was always, I mean, this was like News of the World, like we said, it's absolute, you know, prime at this point, you know, and I was in the paper every other week, and I was getting targeted by, you know, journalists and different things and columnists and all this kind of stuff. And again, it was like almost water off a duck's back, because the beautiful side to this was the life that I got to lead. And, you know, I got to move to London, and I had, you know, we got £2 million after I won Pop Idol. That was beyond.
And you lived in the same block of flats as Danny Minogue.
Which, again, can you want anything
bitch,
more?
Please, preach.
But the fact is that...
But did that make you want to lose weight because there was this criticism in the papers, or did you just go sod it and go the other way?
No, definitely, because what had happened was that it was so bizarre. It was such a lot to deal with in your mind, because in one sense you got to remember, it was 2003, I was 23 years old. I took a disposable camera down at the bank with me to take a picture of my bank balance, because I could not believe the amount of money that was in it. So in one sense, I had all this adoration from people I was meeting on the street. I had all the money you could ever want at that time, but I had zero career. I had been dumped from my record label. 19 management just didn't know what to do with me whatsoever. You know, you couldn't market me. I wasn't going to sell eyelashes or clothes or merchandise or stuff like that, looking the way that I looked, as far as they were concerned. So in one sense, they were like, you know, you should be really happy. You're living in London. You've got all this money. And I'm like, I have no one. I have no purpose. I don't really know what I'm doing. I want to be a singer. And in a really bizarre way, I was better in Glasgow when I had 40 pence in my bank, when I was singing in the working men's clubs and I had all my pals around me and all this kind of stuff. And I think I said, you know, this is all happening because I'm I'm overweight, I'm fat, I need to lose weight. If I lose weight, my life will be perfect. And which is why I then agreed to do the Gillian McKeith stuff at the time. And I didn't really know a lot about Gillian McKeith, and thank God I didn't. Or else I probably would never have agreed to do it because she was off her head. But and I really, but you know, I shouldn't really say that. But she was.
It's the Be Honest podcast.
She was unhinged. I'll say that much for her right at the time. But so I just felt like if I lose all this weight, and I did, you know, I lost like over 10 stone, and I think I went for like a size 26 down to like a 12 or something, which for me was really small. And it didn't make me happy. I mean, I was a lot healthier. You know, I think from a health point of view, it was an amazing thing to do. But the work didn't come flying in. I didn't get record deals. Nothing really changed other than all people wanted to talk to me now was about my weight, and I would let them because that's what I was on the programme to talk about because I'd just done this TV show.
And so I think, mad that your weight should be anything to do with the fact that you're a singer. Do you know what I mean?
I know, but it was that time. You couldn't. People really believed what was in the magazines. So you picked up Heat or Closer or whatever, and it was gospel that was in them. When you read that now, I don't even know who does. I don't know what kind of state the magazines are in and stuff now. But we all know, we're all savvy. We know that that's not real life, and I think that was bad enough. So can you imagine if you had social media on top of that as well? Because I think by the time social media came along, I was a couple of steps ahead in terms of how to deal with it all and what I had dealt with in the past. So I think the thing with social media is that I love it, and it's an absolute necessity for my job, but I don't use social media anywhere near to the way I probably should use it. I mean, my Instagram is just boring. You know, it's just I post every 2 or 3 months. I don't post a lot. I don't overshare. Like Bruce knows, there's lots of personal stuff that's happened to me that I would never talk about publicly because why would I? It's just
and also it's nobody else's business.
Well, exactly, and because I still drink, I can't remember what she's told me.
No, exactly. So it's a win-win situation.
But you know, but the thing is, I'm not that one. I'm not that kind of person. Like if work dries up for me and stuff, I mean, I have never posted a picture of my children online. I posted one picture when Harry was born, one picture when Nicholas was born, just so there was a picture out there and nobody would ask us. The offers I got when both those kids were, when I announced my pregnancies, and I'm somebody I would consider not to be, you know, massively famous or in the public eye, but I had magazines phoning me, people, and it was obscene amounts of money for me to do deals.
Oh, that
and
would
we
be
just
tempting,
said,
though, wouldn't it?
Oh, you think, Jojo, but you wouldn't. I mean, I would never put my babies. I would never do it. I couldn't.
And they
knowing what I know,
want to know the colour of your hoop.
They do. They want to know everything.
But they do. I remember you because I was like, do it. I'm needing a loan of money. And and she said, honestly, the questions they ask, and I genuinely, I couldn't believe it. You know, and I know Lorraine Kelly, so you know, I know what it's like to be an A-lister.
But I couldn't do it to them, honestly. No, I mean, and again, social media is great. Once you're in a place where everyone uses social media differently, completely differently. But you know, for me, it's a place of chatting to folk, talking about my work. It's not a place for me to show off my children and chat and talk about really personal stuff.
And also because we know how social media works and it can turn against you and people can reinterpret it, and you know, it's just can be vile.
Even my dog had to get rid of her Twitter account. It just became too much. Sue, thank you so much for joining us today.
Pleasure.
This has been gorgeous.
Really enjoyed that.
Where can we see you? Can we see you somewhere live soon?
You'll be able to hear her.
I'll be able to hear her.
So we're going to Radio School. We've got a new series of Our Lives kicking off this year again. So we'll start recording that in April. And hopefully Bruce and I are going to be writing again. We've got our Christmas shows coming back, the Winter Wonderland shows at Christmas. We do huge big shows in Glasgow. It's like Christmas is vomited all over the top. With the Soundsational Choir, they're amazing.
I can't make those dates, by the way. I'm out the country.
You're what? You can make those dates. You will.
You will make those dates.
There's bloody more than a bottle of Hendrix in it for you now, love, as you find.
Well, absolutely. Yeah, I'm on royalties. I'm technically Princess Anne.
Getting back into work and being a mummy and being my family and just being really lucky and blessed what that last 19 years have brought, and just excited to see what will come next.
Well, you're looking bloody well on it, Mrs. It's a delight to see you.
And you too, and thank you so much. I'm over the moon. The podcast is amazing. It's great that you guys are doing this.
We are a bit daft,
to drop off some rusks for the boys soon.
Lovely.
Can't wait. The boys can't wait to see you.
Okay. Lots of love.
Lots of love.
See you guys later.
Speak
Thank
to you soon.
Toodles, Sue.
Bye.
Godspeed.
Bye.